So our next speaker is Ettel, and Ed and Mary have done a veterans ministry over at least the last 8 years, maybe longer, where they send care packages to our deployed troops, both those on land and at sea, and it's a wonderful ministry. I got a list of all the places that they have sent stuff, and I didn't know we had people deployed in this many places, but I'm going to read it, and it's pretty impressive. Afghanistan, Algeria, Ascension Island, Australia, Bahrain, Bosnia, Cameroon, Chad, China, Colombia, Croatia, Cuba, Cyprus, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Diego Garcia, Djibouti, East Timor, Egypt, El Salvador, Ethiopia, Georgia, and that's not Atlanta, Georgia, that would be somewhere else. Although there are places in Georgia, never mind. Germany, Ghana, Greece, Greenland, Haiti, Honduras, Indonesia, Iraq, Israel, Japan, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Kosovo, Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan, Liberia, Mauritania, Nigeria, Norway, Oman, Pakistan, Palau, Poland, Qatar, Romania, Saudi Arabia, Serbia, Singapore, Somalia, South Korea, Spain, Syria, the Philippines, Turkey, Uganda, Ukraine, there's in the news, United Arab Emirates, Vietnam, and Yemen. Care boxes have also been mailed to ships at sea in the Arabian Sea, the Gulf of Oman, the Mediterranean Sea, the Persian Gulf, and the Red Sea, as well as the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Lots of troops all over. So with that, Ed, come on up, bud.
Thank you, Skip. It's my honor to be here today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about Project Mail Call. 17 years ago, my wife and I founded a charity called Project Mail Call, and it's a 501 Charlie 3 charity. Although we are a mission of our church, we don't receive funding from them, but we really have no employees, just volunteers that come to help us pack care boxes in the basement of our home. And that sounds kind of silly. Now, why is that? Now, why do we call it Project Mail Call? Well, as you know, you guys, one of the most precious time when you're deployed is what? Mail call. That's the time when somebody cared enough to send you a letter or a package. It's also a significant time if you don't receive a package or a letter. So that's why we call this Project Mail Call, because that's when our mission really happens. We mail care boxes to the people deployed overseas, as Skip said. That's pretty simple, isn't it? So what else is there to say about it? Well, I'm going to try to tell you a little bit more about what the mission really does. The difference between us and other missions that send care boxes is every box that we send that our volunteers pack is customized and personalized to the individual that it's going for or to the unit that the box is being sent to. And when we say customized, that means we find out what this particular unit, our person that's not receiving mail, or maybe is having a morale problem of some sort, we find out what they really like and what they need and what they've asked for. And we send those specific items to them. Now, there's a wide range of stuff that we send. There's military gear sometimes, hot hands, food staples, snacks, any kind of health and beauty aids, even cosmetics, believe it or not for the Marines, but for someone like Bob Babcock. I know he needs that. Because Bob's not here today, I'm going to give him some static today. But also blankets, sheets, towels, even pillows, believe it or not, sports equipment, We do not send golf clubs and and baseball bats. They're kind of hard to send in boxes. But anyway, everything else we send to these guys. Entertainment items, puzzles, board games, and even comic books. That's for the Marines, so they can color, and with a crayon so they know what to do with it. No, seriously, it's very therapeutic to have to work with comic books. It's been proven that's really something that's therapeutic for no matter how old you are. And we've been told by these guys they appreciate getting it. But I could go on and on and on the stuff we send. Use your imagination, anything that you like to have from home, right down to the brand name and the flavor of whatever we're sending, we send to these guys. Now, how do we obtain that? We obtain that information first from people that have relatives that are deployed, sons and daughters and so on. And also there is another charity called anysoldier.com. And what they do is they solicit from the field, from everybody that's deployed, someone that's representing their particular unit, military unit. That person is tasked with finding out what they are asking for and what they need for all the items I just talked about. They also mention how many men, how many women, when they're going to be coming back home, and the situation they're in. Maybe if they have a microwave or not, so we know whether to send microwavable popcorn, freezers for freeze pops in the summer, refrigerator, whether they get their laundry done or not. The list goes on, and they list specifically what these guys would like to have. So we know it means a lot to them to get something from somebody they don't even know that's very specific to what they really want and need. This is to be able to satisfy, you can imagine the number, hundreds of different types of things that we mail. To satisfy that demand, in our basement, we have 500 square feet of shelf space in our what we call our picking room. That's where the volunteers come and pick the items that are going to go in the box. And that's one side of the actual room. That's the picking room. And this is the other side. So this is where it all happens, in this particular room. We have 4 other rooms that are where we have boxes for them to actually pack the items in the boxes. Luckily, we have an unfinished basement. Otherwise, we'd be in a lot of trouble. What we do is we have tours of groups of people that come. For example, the Colonial Dames came 2 weeks ago. We've had 2 sessions since then. So we have groups of organizations that come to pack these care boxes together. Colonial Dames, kind of like the Daughters of the American Revolution, but a little bit different focus. You name the organization, we've had it. Every civic organization you can think of, the Knights Templar, of course, the Lions and the Rotarians and everything else have come. Also, companies like Cox Enterprises, Charles Schwab, I could list go on about companies that come. Department heads will bring their department for team building. And this is an excellent way for them to get together and do something useful than they normally would not do. We also have had every kind of church organization, Sunday school classes, circles, every denomination. We've even had a bar mitzvah, actually, there. And also, we've even had the Mosque of Marietta that came and packed. We've had motorcycle gangs, and even a professional female roller derby team that came. And I had to be real careful around those girls because they'll really bump into you when you're trying to do your packing here when you're doing that. But any kind of organization you can think of is what we have. Once a month, we have what we call a general packing session, and that's where someone's not a member of an organization or a club, either individual or a family can come and pack at this general packing session. And every age, flavor of people you can think of comes at these general packing sessions. I put this photograph in here, and I didn't realize until later what it signifies. In this particular case, you can see this fellow with glasses on his head, looking to the right in the brown shirt. He's a Marine that called us up one time after he came back, and he said, I wanted to see where our boxes came from that you sent me. And he stayed with us and packed for several years because it meant a lot to him to do that. And in the left-hand side, you see the lady that's facing you. She's holding some items in her hand that she picked for a friend of hers, one of her best friends, that's a Navy intelligence specialist that was deployed. So she came and packed for her for many, many months. And then the left-hand side, there's a lady that's in a jean jacket. She had a son deployed in Iraq. She wanted to do something for him because a lot of the people that have deployed folks, they don't know how to send a box. They don't know how to fill out a custom form. They don't know how to do it. So we do everything for them, so it's easy for them to do. Also, on the right-hand side, there's a fellow in another brown shirt on the right-hand side of the blonde wife next to him. He had trouble because they lost a son in Afghanistan. And for 3 months, she said he wouldn't go out anywhere, he wouldn't do anything. She talked him into coming to a packing session. She told us later that this meant so much to him to come and do this, that it really changed his attitude to be able to do something for somebody else. Here is the biggest supporter we have in the center. This fellow here, Colonel Mike Boyce, at least 50 times he came to packing sessions. And he loved doing it. And we always made sure we had a Marine unit or two for him to pack for. And my wife, she tells the story. We always tell people when they're packing a box, make sure every little cubic inch has got something in it, because we're paying for this priority box that's going overseas, and we want it to weigh as much as we can, have as much stuff in it as we can. So but he doesn't believe in that. He doesn't believe. So what he would do, he would go over there on a shelf and just get stuff and just go whoosh into his box. But he loved coming to these things. The photograph here is a picture of him and two of the volunteers that were there for our 10,000 care box milestone. Every time we have a milestone, we have a giant chocolate chip cookie to share with everybody. So that's our little celebration cookie. He was there for that about 2.5 years ago. That's the last time he packed, because he was up Notre Dame for a couple of years. We've mailed over 10,700 volunteers, 37,000 letters that people have written to the troops, and also we have 557 actually packing sessions as of right now that we've had over the past 16 years. When I talked about the letters, I'll tell you a little bit about the letters later, because we ask every volunteer to write a personal letter that goes in the box. They also include children's letters that we have in the box. And also I take a photograph of the group so that the troops can see who it was that packed their box. And some of the ladies, they like to circle their head and say, "This is me," and things like that. But we'll also get responses back from the troops, which we always love to have. And they'll say, "Who's the blonde lady there on the left-hand side?" We've also mailed over 10,000 care boxes, weighing 160,000 pounds. That's 80 tons, I should say, and my wife and I have carried every bit of that. Over 190,000 personnel, the people it went to that benefited from it. And as Skip said, in 64 countries and many ships at sea. We've mailed to every continent except Antarctica. But actually, about 8 years ago, I was on an expedition to Antarctica, and I took some goodies to the Ukraine research station that's there. That doesn't count because we didn't mail it, but we also sent boxes to Ukraine before that. Here's what it looks like at the other end. This is Afghanistan, and you can see the troops are all there getting their mail, and you can see the boxes stacked on the left-hand side. They're going to be open. The box will be shared by one guy. In fact, we've been told that the soldier will be there opening his box, and everybody's standing around him to grab whatever they can. We've gotten thousands and thousands of letters and photographs back from the troops. And you can see these guys here, they hold up the photograph and little goodies we sent them to show us that they received what we sent. And this case here, this lady, really beautiful Army sergeant here. And every holiday, 2 months before the holiday, we send blank greeting cards, Christmas cards, whatever, for them to mail back home. We also send Christmas decorations. They love to decorate their barracks or whatever. And so she's showing us here that she's received all that stuff, and she's holding the photograph that we sent her. Another dimension of Project Mail Call is we give hundreds of presentations to all different kinds of groups, schools from elementary schools all the way up to colleges. And this photograph is of Soap Creek Elementary School. For the last 12 years, we have presented to them, these are all the 8 fifth grade classes you see in this photograph. And we tell them about Project Mail Call and what it is, what a soldier is, and so on. And I described a lot of the details to Skip earlier, but I won't go through those now. But they learn about what is important to know about the military. And after they do this, they have a merchandise drive for us. And they will go out and shop with their mom and dad for things that we listed for them that the troops are asking for. So they go out and experience for themselves what they're getting for the troops. And then 2 of these classes are selected to come and pack boxes. When they deliver all of the merchandise to us, it's 2 or 3 SUV loads of merchandise. So that really is great for us because my wife does about 85% of the shopping for the merchandise at Costco, Walmart, wherever. And so it really helps me get the merchandise. We ask every group that comes to either help us pay for the mailing cost or to bring some merchandise. And that's what they do. Here's one of the letters as an example that the children send. And like I said, we have over 37,000, and I've counted them, 37,000 letters these kids, our adults, have written to the soldiers. They're normally very colorful, and I try to add a little sticker at the top if the teacher doesn't do it to say, here's the email address to send back to the teacher, and all that information so that somehow the soldier or somebody can write back and tell us and tell the volunteer how much they appreciate it. Now, sometimes a volunteer will come to me and Mary and say, you know, I don't really think we should send this letter. And why is that? Well, it says, I hope you don't die, you know. And we tell her that is not a problem. They understand that. It'll mean a lot more to them than you know. They also have a lot of very colorful graphics they always include in the letters, which always are posted on the bulletin boards in the barracks. And we're told that these guys here, it means more to them than anything else that we can send them. So they send back photographs of them holding some of these letters. What the guys do also when they go out on patrol, they'll fold up these letters and put them in their pouch or their pocket, and they'll go and read them when they're on patrol out in the middle of nowhere. These are letters, these are photographs that were sent back to us. Now, to show you the scope of how many places we've gone to, as Skip indicated, Djibouti, it's about 130 degrees, mosquitoes and snakes and everything in the Horn of Africa. And these guys are a special operations group out of Djibouti, but they're really deployed somewhere I can't name. And this is a photograph they sent back. So that's a pretty hot, uncomfortable place to be. You can see that the advisors here, we're very careful of security. You can't see their faces. That's one reason the photograph was used. Because we have a website and 2 Facebook groups that I post all of this stuff on. We want to be real careful for security. I won't go into all the things about that, but we have to be very careful about that. At the other extreme is in Norway, northern Norway. Marines go through winterized training up there. This particular base here is 70 miles from Russia. The Russians don't really like it that these guys are there, but the heck with them, right? So, in fact, I was 5 years ago, I went to Norway for 3 weeks and did some stuff I've never done before. I made it a point to go to some of these bases so I could see these guys. Now, what I do with the kids when they're giving presentations, I show them the different services. So I show them the pictures of the Army, and the boys, little boys just love this photograph here. They think this is really cool to see the artillery going off. And we mailed to ships besides the Army, so it's the Navy. This is Operation Iraqi Freedom. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, that's a carrier that had all the enlisted people out there forming letters and numbers. And this was one I really like because this is a helicopter unit that mailed us, there you go, mailed us the photograph with a thank you letter. And what this guy's doing, they're about to land on the carrier. There's a squadron on this carrier. And the carrier is the Carl Vincent. If you remember the significance of the Carl Vincent, that's the carrier that disposed of Osama bin Laden's body. This photograph was taken 2 weeks after that happened. We also send to the Air Force and the Marines and the Coast Guard. We have not mailed anything to the Space Command yet. We haven't figured out how to do that. In fact, we haven't found anybody in the command. We also send to K-9 units, and we'll go through the details here. And another dimension of this charity is there are many, many schools, orphanages, clinics that our troops built, for example, in Afghanistan. But when they built them, they didn't have anything to put in it. So this fellow here is Sergeant Hammond. His dad passed away earlier this year. He sponsored a orphanage of 50 girls, sweet-looking, beautiful girls here. And he asked that if you're mailing things, please send 50 of each thing that you send. So we'd send like 50 Beanie Babies and 50 of everything else. And so this is the kind of dedication our troops have. So we go out of our way to help them provide this humanitarian aid that they didn't necessarily have to do. Also schools. You know, until we went over there, the girls in Afghanistan didn't go to school. But when we built a school for them, they didn't have any school supplies. So we sent them all kinds of school supplies so they could have something. Again, these are photographs they sent us back. This is what one of the first classrooms that they had in Afghanistan, this photograph right here. One of my favorites is this Army helicopter group. When they go out on some kind of mission, they would have a bunch of soccer balls with them, and they would drop them down to kids that they'd see as they're flying along the way. You can see in the lower right-hand corner, there's a kid down there waving his thanks to these guys. We also send a lot of dust-off units, you name it. These doctors sent us some pretty gory photographs. And this one here is the one that I could show. Anyway, they wanted to show us what they do. In fact, what our stuffed animals were going for, because the kids that were being operated on, they were provided these stuffed animals and other little goodies that we sent them. We've gotten a lot of recognition. I won't go into all the details, but we were asked by Kate Kirkpatrick to go to the Georgia Senate, and I didn't know I was going to have to give a presentation until she told me I was standing right there. But we did that with our granddaughter and our volunteers, and then we went over to the House, did the same thing. And then when we used to have really good senators, Saxby, I'm sorry, little political thing. Saxby Chambliss and Johnny Isaacson invited my family to Washington, and we were recognized on the floor of the Senate. That meant an awful lot to my kids, and to me too, for that to have happened. And we've had 12 letters. I've had 12 letters from presidents, of course, Bush and BO. I don't know who that is, what BO, I know what BO stands for. Anyway, Barack Obama, that's how he signs it. And also, you know, this last guy, Trump. We have yet to receive anything from Biden. And so we'll see how that turns out. Well, that's what it's all about. And if you guys have any relatives, friends that have sons or anyone that's deployed, please let us know. All we need is an accurate address. And we hope that everybody gets back safely. That's really what it's all about, and that's what Project Mail Call is about. Thank you very much.